What's up, traders? Zach here from the Trading Network. I hope you guys are doing well. I am back with another weekly market profile forecast for both the ES and NQ futures markets. First and foremost, for those of you guys new to the channel, welcome. What we do here in this video series is we go over some major inflection points based on market profile analysis that I will be looking at to use as targets, take trades from, and base risk off of in the coming week. Now, I focus on the ES and NQ futures markets once again, and we will be starting off with the NQ session profile, moving into the NQ weekly profile, and doing the same for the ES session and weekly profiles as well. So let's waste no time. Let's dive right in here to the NQ session profile. First and foremost, what I will be looking at is reaction towards this 14,570-ish level. You can see that 14,570 was the overnight high from May 29th into May 30th. We have 14,559 as the regular trading hours high from May 30th as well. We also have the overnight high from June 1st into 2nd at 565. We have the POC from Friday at 577, and we have the current overnight high, although the market's only been open for a few hours, at 575. So needless to say, I mean, this is a pretty important area that, in my opinion, if we can move and hold above that, we're very likely to see a move into Friday's value high and Friday's high at around 14,627. Now, if we cannot get acceptance above 14,570, I will be looking for a move back down into Friday's low, 14,468. Now, obviously, if we move or do not get accepted above 570, we're going to have to, in the regular trading hour session tomorrow, visit Thursday's high at 528, Thursday's value high at 514. You can see the overnight point of control. This pink line right here is the overnight POC from June 1st into 2nd, and that's at 510 as well. So these are the levels that I would be looking at on the downside. Now, depending on where we open, that is when these levels are going to come into play, right? If we open tomorrow up here and then we get selling pressure, well, these are going to be some high probability downside targets, right? So that's how I'm using these levels to my advantage on a daily basis, and that's what I will be looking at tomorrow. So it's all really based on where we're going to open tomorrow and then watching the reaction to these levels tomorrow on open. And in my opinion, most importantly, waiting to see if buyers accept price above 570 or around this area. And if not, if price cannot hold above that level, then we're very likely to see some downside pressure. Now, one thing I want to point out before we move on to the weekly profile for NQ is that we have some thin structure here on the profile from Thursday. So if I zoom in here, you guys can see that we have single prints on the profile. We've got a couple single prints here starting at 14,430, and then those move down into basically 14.4K. So what single prints mean on the market profile is basically an area where price did not spend a lot of time. Price did not do a lot of business there, right? If price doesn't spend a lot of time in an area, that means that there's not likely a lot of liquidity there, right? And when that is the case, that means that price can easily move through an area of single prints compared to an area like this where a point of control is. There's a lot of dense liquidity. There's a bunch of orders there, right? The point of control is the area where the most time was spent in the entire session, right? Here's the POC, 14,510. This is where the most price action, the most transactions, the most time was spent in the entire overnight session. This is where the most time was spent in Thursday's regular trading hour session, 477. This is the POC from Friday at 577, 100 points higher, right? So if the most trading activity, the most volume is being done at these areas, it is much more difficult for price to chew through those areas, if you will, compared to an area of single prints. So I want to just point these things out to you guys, especially for those of you who are new to the profile. These things can really change the game and offer up a ton of opportunity if you can just stay patient and understand what these things mean. Okay, so now I've got the weekly NQ profile pulled up here, and this is, going to be pretty telling to see what kind of reaction we get to last week's highs around 627. I mean, we could basically create a zone, and yes, it is a wider zone, but it's really only 50 points, so nothing that crazy on NQ, between 576 and 627. So I'd be looking for price to move and hold above this zone. You can see the monthly point of control from the volume composite is right around last week's POC as well at 585. So this is a very, very important area. Move and hold above this, very likely continuation to the upside. But if we get downside pressure, I mean, I don't think it's unlikely at all. I actually think it's pretty darn high probability that we get a move down into this zone between 14,370 and 14,355-ish, right? Break below that, likely a test of last week's volume point of control down here around 14.3K. And then we have last week's low at 14,250. So those are the major areas that I will be looking at on a weekly perspective, on a bit of a higher time frame. But for what it's worth, you know, we could always continue to range up in this area as well. So that's why it's really important to stay patient and let the market tell us what to do. Doesn't matter what we think the market's going to do. At the end of the day, we need to take information from the market and use that to our advantage. And that's exactly why I use market profile. So let's move on to the ES session profile. I'll get rid of these drawings here. Give me a sec. There we go. And a similar situation here. You can see that Friday's high, basically 4,300 on ES, 4297.75 to be precise. I'll be looking for a reaction to this area, move and hold above 4,300, very likely some good upside. I mean, we've got a lot of good major levels that we haven't visited in basically a year. On the upside, looking at the weekly chart, looking at the weekly profiles, you know, back from August, June, July, August, things of that nature in 2022. So that is what I'm going to have my eye on for the upside, and we'll talk about those weekly levels when we look at the weekly candlestick chart shortly. But on the downside, if we can't move and hold above Friday's high, we'll look for a move to 4270, 4265-ish, and a break below that likely gets us a move to the overnight high from the first into second at 4257. Break below there, I would look for a move just 8 points below that at Friday's low, 4249. And then, you know, a larger move, we've got this naked point of control with good confluence from that overnight low from the first into second. So if we got some stronger selling pressure, about a 50-point move from where we currently are down to this naked POC from Thursday, that's 4228. And then, you know, if we get downside continuation, we've got more naked POCs to the downside. This is the POC from May 25th at 4158. We would have to break 4178, of course, but I think if we break this little zone here between 74 and 78, that's going to offer up a pretty nice short opportunity down to fill that naked POC at 4158. And then same situation here. If price doesn't, you know, put in lows, if we do get all the way down here, then we've got this naked POC at 4125. But we are way up here at 4286. So one level at a time, one day at a time, one trade at a time is how we have to take things. But that is going to give you guys good levels at the very least to watch and wait and see what kind of opportunity presents itself if you especially are using tools like our proprietary indicator package, where you can wait, watch for reaction at these major levels, use your tools like the oscillators, like our volatility tools, things of that nature, and have really high probability opportunity consistently on a daily basis. So one thing that I want to point out here that we've really been waiting for is ES to kind of break out of its range. ES was lagging behind NQ. You can see that on the weekly profile. I mean, NQ has been broken out of the range for even before I had data loaded, right? Back in early May, we were ranging and we finally broke out here and we got that continuation. ES was kind of stuck in this range for a while, basically until last week. And you can see these prior highs from the week of May 15th, the week of May 22nd, are now flipped with the value area high, and we are all the way up here. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, to see price pull back towards this 4225 area, put in a low, you know, or at least probe to see if buyers step in here. And if buyers do step in here, you know, this could be a good long opportunity if we get a test of this 4225 area. So keep that in mind. 4225-ish, 4220-ish, those are the two prior weekly highs, not from last week, but week of May 15th and the week of May 22nd. So that's also the monthly volume composite POC there at 4226.50. So amazing confluence at that level. One more time, that is last week's point of control, 4224. So I will certainly be paying attention very closely to that level on ES. Now, let's move on over into the weekly candlestick chart on NQ first and foremost. I'm going to start to just wrap things up after I just drive home a couple things that I've been talking about for a while. Go back and watch my weekly market profile forecasts for basically the last, year. And you'll see that I've been talking about a few things. I've been talking about this long-term bull flag that is not only intact, it's looking beautiful. So some really, pretty serious higher time frame targets that I would be looking at. The first one to the upside, not really that far away, 14.7. 14.7 is this wick low from October 2021. The next area that I'd be looking at is 15,030. 15,030 is this area right here. A swing high from July 2021, also swing high from February 2022. So I'd be looking for price to revisit that area. There's also a swing low, 15,120-ish as well. So there's nice confluence in this zone as well. I'm just going to mark that off and leave it on my charts. And, if we get some further upside pressure, 15,240, I think is a nice area, but we got a ways to go. Now, if we get downside pressure, I'm going to be looking for a retest of these swing highs from April 2021, 14,375. I was talking about that level on the profile as well. And you guys can see, this isn't complicated stuff. Price just revisits old levels. So downside pressure, we're probably revisiting these prior swing highs that we kind of just ripped through. And this would be, a pretty important recent one to revisit if we do get some more serious downside pressure. 13.9K would be a nice level to look for. So that is what I'm looking at as far as NQ goes. Those are my higher time frame, more macro levels. Let's pop on over into the ES weekly chart, and we will discuss some very similar situations here. So same thing, ES is looking good. I mean, the measured move on these bull flags is pretty insane, I will say. And they could take a year or two to play out. I think that's probably likely. But I mean, these levels, these areas are just beautifully structured and they remain intact. Okay, so some major levels that you guys can look at on a macro scale for ES. 4380-ish I think is a good spot. I like this 4450 level a little bit, and then we've got some higher levels up here, 4525, I think that's a good spot, and 4600. So that should give you guys some stuff to chew on as far as upside goes, if we do get some pretty significant upside pressure. And downside goes, probably just retesting those weekly profile levels that we were just looking at a little bit ago. So 4230, 4225, 4170s, last week's low, also last week's value area low, and so on and so forth. So you guys can take a look at this chart, come back, reference it, mark off these levels. Highly suggest you guys do that. And at the very least, don't have to take trades off of these levels, especially if you're new to these videos, but at the very least, mark them off and watch what happens. And I bet you'll be taking trades off of them pretty darn soon. So with that said, I'm going to wrap things up here. I want to thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to watch this content. If you do find value in it, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and click that bell notification to be notified every single time we post videos here on the channel. Now, if you guys want to learn more about what we do here at the Trading Network, if you guys are curious about what we do in our private Discord, where we live stream every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, check out our website, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can purchase access to our most popular offering, the Pro Trader Bundle, which includes lifetime access to our private Discord community. It includes access to our proprietary indicator package, and last but not least, includes access to our Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, where we teach varying strategies for different market conditions. I teach a trending strategy, a ranging strategy, and a reversal strategy, all with clear, concise, step-by-step instructions. And these are all of the strategies that we are trading in our Discord on a daily basis. Everyone's using the same tools, everyone's using the same strategies, and everyone is trading together, growing together, and getting 1% better each day. So if that is something you guys are interested in, check out our Pro Trader Bundle and join us in the private Discord. Now, if you are interested in a more tailored or catered one-on-one experience to your strengths and weaknesses as a trader, highly suggest checking out our one-on-one mentorship offerings, which can also be found on our website. If you guys have any questions about anything I have mentioned in this video or anything on our website, any of the products we offer, please feel free to shoot us a DM on Instagram at the.trading.network. You can email us at info@thetradingnetwork.io, or you can just drop a comment down below and we will respond as soon as possible and help any way we can. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to watch this content. I appreciate you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.